exactly the story of Castle Rock or Lord of the Flies. Not exactly. And it's hard to say the good and bad because only God knows the heart of a man. So if I were to say the good Jer, because he went to church and organized religion and all that stuff, well, there's a part of the movie that I'm going to, to put in there eventually, and that's the gathering at the Pentecostal church when everyone's speaking in tongues. And the good Jer did speak in tongues and ran around the church in a circle, like with his friend, one of this black guy that was one of his followers, and they celebrate, they edify. It's edification. And I think there's a moment, I don't know if he remembers, but he kind of curls up next to the pulpit. In my mind, when I was looking at him, it looked like almost he was like kind of sucking his thumb, but I don't think he was. But it was like he was kind of rocking back and forth and speaking in tongues and on the ground to a pretty high extent, not knowing if he was aware of the level of commitment. So that was his honoring the Pentecostal movement in the church. There's nothing wrong with that. It's a form of worship. Some would say expression, some would say worship. And worship is a form of expression, expressing your love towards the Lord. Now, nothing that I could say that would be bad, but he was kind of a funny guy. One time he came in, this is the good Jer, one time he came into the break room and I was horrified of snow and ice, which I need to put that in the story a little bit more. I think there's a slow-mo sequence showing this snow and ice, but I was really scared, just almost certain I would die, just because I was not prepared to drive in that level of snow and ice and everything. But they know it, and they have regular cars just like this, economy size cars. And Jared had come in the not the living room, but the break room, walked in and said, well, got out the Dexter and got on a hill, and well, we got up halfway up the hill and the car started sliding backwards, and then I got in it, gave it a little push, and then we got over that hill. He goes over to the snack thing and puts in some money to get a snack. But I was, listening to him going, oh man, because it already had hit. I would get real nervous. I remember I had just quit smoking, so I was in the factory, I was in the mill, and you could see this has got to be in the movie. You could see the snow coming down through these slits in these windows. The windows were like kind of slit windows, not very big windows, but you could see the snow coming down, and it just would increase and increase. And I'd be working, going through the wood and sorting and grabbing the wood and, putting it in the wastebasket and focusing. It was a lot of focusing and looking, detailed oriented. And I'd look up and there'd be more snow coming down. By the time I'd get out, there'd be snow kind of, up to the tires, and I'd have to deal with that. I was not experienced in snow shoveling, so the next day I'd have to snow shovel myself out of the driveway, and then get on the road and slipping around this little tiny Rio Kia, a Kia that came out, I think it was like a 2007 Kia, or 2007 Kia, maybe 2008, 2007, and I was up there in 2012 in this little tiny Kia. Anyway, I ended up getting trading that one in and getting a better one a little bit later for to take on the big snowstorms and the blizzards and things like that. Now, it wasn't the worst winter. The people said that winter, 2012, going into 2013, I think there was two winters. So there was when I arrived in 2011, going into 2012, and then going towards 2013, because I left in 2013, it wasn't that bad. They said that the winter wasn't that bad. But Jersey or New York flooded. I believe it was New Jersey and even New York City flooded because of a storm. It did flood, and there was loss of life and stuff like that in the city. So it hit hard, and it rose the river of the Piscataquis River, which is the one that we were on. We were in the Piscataquis county seat, and that river rose quite a bit, up to almost a bridge level. And also, when the ice came in, or when the ice solidified and then would break up, because ice breaks up onto the river. It'll slice up into pieces, and then it'll go floating down the river. You can even jump on the ice and stuff like that. I wouldn't recommend it. People have died trying to do that. There was some guys that died that year in a kayak. It had fallen over, and one guy went in shock, and he fell into the river. It carried him away, and his friend tried to help him and died trying to help him. It was in the newspaper. Also, a lady had fallen in Arcadia Park from a precipice, which is like a vertical cliff, and they got her on a chopper and tried to get her to Boston. I don't know if she lived or died. I think the rumor was she died, but I'm not 100% on that one. There were some accidents that year. There was also, I think, maybe a triple homicide. A kid went missing in Waterville, and there was, I think the triple homicide was drug related, and there was a robbery at the local Duane Reade, which was a hunting knife. A guy came in with a hunting knife and stole a bunch of like Dilaudid or something. They ran him off into the field and they didn't catch him. Talks about it with Steven, one of his neighbors, in the other part of the script. So every once in a while I'll mention these little things that happen. I might do like where he shows the news. Now there was the true story about my whole fantasy thing with Stephen King. Was I was driving, not in a car like this, but the radio was on, and it was snowy out and it was getting cold. All of a sudden, Stephen King's voice is on the radio. He's being interviewed. He's like, "Well, Maine, y'all take care now," or something. There was some. It sounded kind of not like country and western, but like in Maine, they talk like you know how they talk. But anyway, they talk in the back of the mouth like this. Don't go down there. Well, Maine, y'all stay warm or something. I don't remember the interview, but it wasn't really long. It was just Stephen King addressing the night, and it was because he helps out a radio station between where I was and in Bangor. Anyway. Pretty detailed. This is maybe an elk. These are like really, really good. It's like a butterscotch. I've never had it. It's like a Mexican candy. Monty's Tommy El Original. So far, these are probably one of my favorites. They're very, very good. I got a few of them. So the repercussion of someone showing up in your local town and then going home and then just kind of getting on the computer. I don't know. It's happened. I've seen some really good movies about people helping others. And people did help me. And I did become afraid. But eventually I learned to kind of manage the fear. One of the things that I did like doing after working for, 12-hour shifts and things like that, and I had a day off, is I'd go to Bangor, and they had a mall there, and it's got a lot of attention on YouTube. A couple of vloggers, one guy named Rocky Acres. He does a pretty good vlog. My favorite drink up there was Moxie. I loved it. Very similar to Dr. Pepper. I was doing everything diet. So it was all diet for me, like Diet Moxie. If I got a Diet Coke, I got a Diet Coke. but I enjoyed it. It tastes a lot like Dr. Pepper. I wrote about it, and sometimes I'd even put the ingredients in the actual story. I was living on like a lot of soy, diet food, those Met RX bars. I even had the local grocer in Dover Foxcroft at the grocery store order me a batch of Met RX bars because I did a lot of jogging, and it was extra protein. And he did. He actually did the right brand and everything. That was great. It was great to have that kind. You could just ask him and he would order it, and he did. And I bought a lot of those and stuff. And then Bangor, I'd go out for movie night and get like some dates and go and see like a, some movie. I think Johnny Depp came out with Dark Shadows. Seeing a movie there was a big relief because you could really kind of like get away from your cold, snow shoveling, working in a factory existence. I'm trying not to talk with my mouth open. Trying to get that spit thing out of the way, or some kind of thing that you can take. It's like a lozenge. It controls the salivation. Or drinks sometimes help. This is Coke Zero. I'm cutting back to a minimum of 2 tacos, no more. But anyway, that was fun. I got to see Batman Part 3, which was Dark Knight Rises. It was pretty good. One thing about that, I wrote about it too. The Aurora incident happened in Colorado where the guy went in, shot everybody up and pretended like he was the Joker. That happened, I think, the weekend before I went to go see the movie. So there was a guy there that talked like, oh, I can't think of the name, but he took tickets, but he had this very deep voice, like a bullfrog's voice, which was kind of scary. And then we were watching the movie, and he came in and said something, and he had a flashlight with him as he walked in and looked down the aisles. That was pretty scary, because that incident had just happened, and he was, I guess, maybe trying to find something in the aisles, or maybe trying to get someone seated or something. But it was like during the movie. It rarely ever happens. That scared the heck out of me. Now, Abraham Lincoln came out with Daniel Day-Lewis. He won for Best Actor. I saw that. I didn't really take it in, though. I was more like watching his performance the entire time. So I didn't really... It was a Spielberg film. Every time I had a chance to go out to Bangor Mall and see a movie, I would. There's also another adjacent movie theater a few miles away. It's not really adjacent, but it's kind of on the side of town in Bangor. It was a smaller, kind of cooler movie theater where it was kind of on its own kind of thing. And I saw the Dark Shadows there, I think. It was kind of by the airport, by Bangor Airport. But I think then later on, there was probably another movie that came out. I'm sure I'm probably not thinking of it right now. Anyway, back then I had Netflix, so I had Netflix where you could stream it, but it was like an option, and then you could also like not stream it and then get the Netflix mailed to you. So I'd get like four or five movies. I'd usually get like 3 movies, or like maybe I was on a 2-movie plan. I don't remember. I don't think it was 4 or 5. I think it was like a 2-movie plan. It's like $6.99 back then, or $7 or something. And I would just get all these weird movies. And one lady, Joni, who lived right next to the factory, she was a minister. And she came over and we watched like a vampire movie. She was kind of a friend. One of the only like friend girls that I had, but she was a minister and she smoked a pipe. I'm probably going to add Joni. I met her in the theater way out in Dexter at the Wayside Theater during an audition. And I remember her name because she said, "My name is Joni," and she touched her knee. Never will forget her name. And she was an older lady, and she was very nice. And I'd go over to her place and we'd watch, like, she streamed them. So she was streaming Netflix at the time. I think we watched Bag of Bones, which I had read that. Still didn't really understand it completely. The book, I read the whole thing when I was on a major diet and I was eating like sugar-free candy, which I don't recommend. I wouldn't get enough calorie intake to really understand the book, but I did read it, and that was like maybe like getting out of college. And then later I watched the movie and I understood it a little bit more. It's about a writer and a ghost, and he likes to jog around, and something to do with the wife and some kind of magnetic things on the refrigerator. There was all these little things, and I can't, there's no way I could, at least it was a long series of, 967 pages. I don't think I could get it all. So I have to be selective, and I'm thinking I'm waiting for it to come to me. Not Pennywise, not the clown. But I'm waiting for the story to kind of arrive. And then I'm like, okay, I know I can highlight this character and we can get to this. But I have a feeling it would only work maybe as a series about a writer that moves to Maine and tries to get it a shot. Now remember, the thing is all my stuff went onto an online platform site known as Fan Fiction and Fiction Press. I didn't get a double day advance. I didn't get any extra money. Stephen King never called me. But I did audition for a movie for Drake Dormus out in Hollywood, and I didn't get in that either. It was called Beauty Inside. It was the first movie that was released on Facebook as an actual feature. My friend Drake did that. He studied out in AFI. I did audition for that. I think I talked about my cats in the audition, but I don't think they got it because it was a little choppy. I think I had Time Warner. They were pretty good. Well, eventually I finished the book and didn't really know what to do with it, so I pocketed it, and I transferred most of the book onto a laptop, which I still have that original. I have the original tower when I wrote the book. Then I eventually, put it online as best of my ability. Now I did start a habit where I went through and started editing, because it does need to be edited. And I released those few pages onto Facebook, but that takes a little bit of time. I could do it at night. There's one issue on this whole writing vlogging, is I do a lot of that kind of work when things are exporting. When you make a video, you finish making the video, and then on your phone, you hit a button called export, which it can take some time for it to take all the footage and video and everything, whatever you're using for the video, gather it all together and make a complete copy of a video log. That can take time. That's usually the time that I would use to edit. I always think that my life would be probably more efficient if I had an Apple Macintosh. The Microsoft product that I have, which is Dell, is a little slow at times. It has sped up over the last few days, so it is initiating things, but it's a little old. Now I want to talk about this too. I did get a PC, or it was a laptop at a Best Buy, I think, in Bangor, and I still have that. And it was a model. It was the one that I wanted, I guess because of the amount of memory, was a show model one. I forgot what they call it, but it's where they put it on the shelf, and you can buy that. I bought that one. I don't think it's not the same one that I'm working on now, but it still kind of works. I haven't turned it on forever, but I put a lot of Escape from Maine on that, and then I have another one that I bought later on with some tax money when I was still married, and that one was maybe like about a $900 PC that I got at a Best Buy in Irving, and it actually, believe it or not, it still functions. And I think I may have got it in 2017. So we're looking at 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. So this is the 5th year, and I'm still doing projects on it. That's the one that you see. That's the Dell. But my next big step, if I do get the opportunity, or if you want to help, is to get a Macintosh laptop. That way, when things are exporting, I can just go over the Macintosh and finish up editing and things like that. And I can still edit on my own time, but all my time during the night is segregated. It's not segregated per se, but it's planned out to a point where when I'm exporting, then I watch other vloggers to kind of get ideas and to keep up with the vlogging community. Or I'll have a conversation with Linda if she wants to talk about either something that she came about or something like that. And then if I finish up early, then I go to bed. If not, I usually, if I do it till morning, if I'm editing till morning, then I finally finish up and then go to bed. Like, for example, last night I didn't finish up until between 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. So it was all night editing, which takes time because I have to see the show, I have to see the worthiness of it. I listen to it, I find things, and I used to just lay it out and press the button, but now I'm going through and cutting and looking and seeing, okay, this can be something, let's go to this one, let's call it this. So I'll listen to the show with headphones. I have a black set of headphones, which is connected. They're JVCs that are connected, and I'm listening to that, and I'm editing. And then I have when I'm done with that, I take those off, and I take these earbuds, which are connected to a remote, so I don't wake up Linda, and then I watch the vloggers. Then when that's done exporting, I pick the phone back up, those go out, headphones go back on, and I begin to construct the next video because I have to know what to call it. I may say something, or I may immediately know, then I have a title, and I move on, and I do that each night. So it's like a novel, kind of. But a novel is a little bit different because you're mostly dealing with words. We're dealing with image and sound. So I just wanted to throw that out. So it's hard for me sometimes to get back to the book because the book is a massive editing process dealing mostly only with words and commas and periods and exclamation marks and all the wonderful things that the English language allows us to take advantage of when crafting a work of art, or what you would call a novel or a book. This is that modern house that I was talking about the other day. Let's see if I can find it. Yeah, it's right over here. Look at this thing. Super nice. Cameras everywhere. Very nice. They got a fireplace going way over there. Double check this is the right one. All right, they're off of Marymount. It's a real nice yard. I'm gonna look at it again when I'm driving over this way. Let's see right here. Look at that. Little flat, kind of top building, like real kind of Los Angeles looking. Right over there, right next to the creek. I think it's high enough not to get hit by floodwaters, but they got an embankment on the side. Two driveways, one right there for the drop off. They may have, I don't know if that was, no, they got a side gate there, so that was probably the right one. Right between Horn and Merriment. Really nice.